One of the most common maintenance items around the house starts right here at your bathroom sink. Now don't worry, don't call a plumber just yet. Let me walk you through 3 simple steps that you can take to hopefully unclog your sink and not have this happen. So let's start it off by just understanding how slow this is draining. We'll set a baseline, and that will help us understand as we progress through the 3 steps if we're actually making some progress. How I set the baseline is I just time how long 1 gallon of lukewarm water takes to completely drain out below the drain stopper level, and then that will give me the time or baseline of how it's currently performing. Then for step 1, all it is hot water, not boiling hot water, but I'm going to use about 160 degrees Fahrenheit, and boiling would be about 212 degrees Fahrenheit, depending on the altitude where you're located. Then I'll slowly pour that in the drain, and it's about 2 to 2.5 gallons. What I'm trying to do is loosen up all the grime and hair and who knows what caught in that drain and trying to flush it out. This is similar to trying to use some Drano or other chemicals, but it's just something you're going to have around the house. Now, once that's done, I'm going to test it again. Okay, now step 1, we ran hot water. Now I'm going to time it again. The original time was 1:58, so the time that you see there would go to 3:56 if it took exactly the same amount of time. So we did see a little bit of improvement. Remember, our baseline was about 1:58 to drain 1 gallon of water out. And then after pouring hot water down the sink, we got it down to 1:25. Still not actually solving our issue, but that is a pretty good temporary fix. Maybe you just need to get water out of your sink, get through a dinner party, get through the holidays, get yourself another week till you have some time to dig a little bit deeper and go on to step 2. Now, step 2 is the #1 most common source of your clogs, and that is right here at what's called the drain stopper. I have one that is just a push drain stopper, so you push it down to stop, or you push it again to release and drain the water out. Most commonly, you'll probably have a pull handle here, and that would be a pop-up style of drain stopper. So I will talk about and show you how to address both types, but let's start off with this push type drain stopper. But I will warn you, now is where it starts to get a little disgusting and messy because you're really going to start pulling some stuff out of your drain. So for the push drain stoppers, usually you can just rotate as you look at it counterclockwise and remove the center section. Now sometimes, like you see here, the top will actually come off opposed to the actual center section itself. But most designs like this one actually fit an Allen key, so you can fit that in and then rotate that entire stopper. Now here's where you start to get gross. So now you see where clogs can come from. So you got to remove all of this gross stuff. Some simple paper towels. You might want to use gloves for this part. Now, in my instance, most likely that was the actual clog. So let's say the drain stopper comes out, you have that all cleaned up, but you still have a bunch of grime down there. Mine is pretty clean, but you can get these snakes where you snake them down in, you poke them around, you pull them up. Now, you can buy them. If you look down in the description, you'll see a link on Amazon to buy them. They're usually orange and they have these little snags. I just made this one. This is just a zip tie, a long zip tie that I had. And then I just took side cutters and all I did was just snip small pieces and bend that out a little bit just to make catches, because what you're looking to do is you just want to catch the hair. Once you catch the hair, it usually will pull most of everything else out. Now mine is pretty clean, so I'm not going to catch too much. But any piece of plastic like this, you can go ahead and just make those small catches if you don't want to order one. If you want to order one or go down to your home improvement store, super common. You'll be able to easily get one for a couple bucks. So I'm going to clean things up a little bit more here, and then we'll jump back and do our baseline test again. Something tells me this is going to drain quite a bit faster. All right, so once it's all cleaned up, now I'll just go reinsert again. Use my Allen to tighten that up. Don't over tighten it. These are all plastic pieces, so you don't want to damage them. And then put the top back on. Make sure it's functioning. All right, now let's do our baseline test. Actually, before the baseline test, let's address if you have a pop-up drain stopper and how to remove that. What you'll need to do is get down in your vanity, and you need to loosen up the nut that you see here on the back of the tailpipe. You either use a crescent wrench, or sometimes it's just hand tight and you can take it off. Now once you remove that nut, and you can remove that strap if it's in your way with the spring clip, but you're just really needing to get out this pivot rod. Once that pivot rod's out, now you can pull that drain stopper out and clean up everything, hopefully removing your clog. So 13 seconds, give or take. That obviously was my issue, and about 9 out of 10 of us, I say that would be the issue. Addressing the drain stopper itself and all the stuff that builds up. I've done this many times, so yes, it's gross, but it doesn't really surprise me. If that is your first time, it's always a special experience the first time you see the stuff living inside your drains, which is pretty gross. So if your sink is still not draining, you're one of those 1 out of 10, don't worry. Step 3 is coming up. We're gonna go inside the vanity here and address the P-trap, which is another location where you can have some clogs. So for step 3, we're gonna focus in what's called the P-trap. So there is water sitting in that P-trap all the time. So you make sure you get a bucket so that when we undo this, all the water goes in the bucket and you're not damaging your vanity and the wood at the base. So I usually will undo the nut at the back, which you can usually loosen up with your hands, but you might need some channel locks. But these are made to be hand tight. And then I would just go ahead and loosen those up, let the water drain out. So let the water drain out before removing those. Then once the water stops, you'll unscrew these nuts all the way. And then go ahead and dump that water out. Now you're gonna have some gunk and grime like that. Now this would not result in that original clog, but it is good to get out while we're here. Now how I do that is I usually roll up some paper towels and then feed those through. Usually I keep twisting those to try to clean it out as I go. Trying to feed it through that other side. Again, you have the bucket there for a reason, so you can just pull that through. And you can see just even one pass really cleaned that up nicely. And now that part is completely cleaned off. I'd go ahead and make sure the tailpipe is all cleaned off. If you still have hair, you'll see the hair hanging out. It's not uncommon to see hair hanging out of the tailpipe. Make sure you're pulling all that out. Now while you're here as well, make sure your bucket is underneath. This is called the gooseneck. Same thing, this is a hand tightened nut. There should not be that much sitting water here. Go ahead and pull that out. Again, kind of gunked up, right? So you do the same thing with some paper towels. Go ahead and clean that out. Yeah, with the paper towels, I feed them through, twisting them, and then pushing those through the actual pipe itself. That'll help give it a little bit more rigidity and help push that through. So what I do now is reinstall the gooseneck and P-trap. For this one, you want to just hand tighten it in. Do not tighten it down because you don't know exactly how far in you need it until you line up your P-trap. So kind of tighten that down a little bit. Then bring your P-trap back. Remember, this end, the longer end's going to the tailpipe. So we'll just tighten that up. And then now is where I will work that gooseneck to where I need it so everything lines up and I can tighten everything down and test it out again. Now here's where you'd go and do another benchmark test, and if you're still getting a blockage, this is where you might need to take everything out and then auger out. Get a cheap auger. You'll see a link in the description for a cheap auger. You can run that auger out, push it down, spin it around, and then try to free up the clog, because now you know the clog is actually within the plumbing, the PVC in the wall, not out here at our gooseneck, our P-trap, our tailpipe, or at the stopper, which we addressed earlier. So those are the 3 steps to unclog your bathroom sink, and let me know down in the comments, was it number 1, 2, or 3 that solved the problem for you? If I'm a betting man, I'd say number 2 is going to be the vast majority of people. And then the last word of caution that I'd say is, if you did have to remove your P-trap, not only confirm that your drain is now draining so the clog is flushed out, but confirm that your P-trap is not leaking. Too often we'll disturb that area, we'll get everything cleaned out, we'll go to business, but we'll actually cause a leak or not get everything tightened up. So just make sure it is watertight and you're not going to damage your vanity. Now, if you're looking to do a little bit more work in your bathroom and you're looking to change out a faucet, super easy project. I'll walk you through the complete step-by-step process here. So thanks for joining us on this video, and we'll catch you on the next one. Take care.